Hi, Ignite. I have a question for you. Did you know that our cortisol levels are highest first thing in the morning when we wake up? After 24 years of working in the women's health and fitness field, I had no idea that this was the case. And this was total news for me. And it wasn't until May, about 4 months ago, when my heart began racing out of nowhere and at random times throughout the day, even when I was laying down trying to go to sleep at night, did I begin to take a deep dive into the why and began to fully understand cortisol and the stress response that my body was having because of it. I'll begin with an excerpt from a book called The 5 Resets by Dr. Aditi Nerurkar that perfectly describes what was happening to my body in mid-May. Inside my chest, I felt something new, something different and terrifying. A stampede of wild horses. The air was being knocked out of me, and I had a hard time catching my breath. The stampede of wild horses, along with feeling that I had an elephant sitting on my chest, came out of nowhere. Like while I'm sitting working on my computer, trying to go to bed at night, just nowhere, doing regular daily things. And it felt like something was lodged in my windpipe and I couldn't take a deep breath, accompanied with the racing heart. So granted, it was May, which is all the crazies, and our son, who at the time was 7th grade, had just had knee surgery, and our daughter, it was just all the end of the school stuff that makes May crazy. But other than that, everything was completely normal. Well, the possibility of a heart attack or stroke definitely entered my mind. I didn't have any other symptoms or risk factors, and I was totally healthy, exercising every day, eating right, getting enough sleep, so I thought. So after about 10 days of this on and off again, racing heart and not being able to take a deep breath, I talked to my sister, who is a nurse, and she encouraged me to go to our local urgent care and just get my vitals checked out. So I did that. And when I got there, I felt totally normal. I wasn't having any of those racing heart, hard to breathe experiences. And while I was waiting for the doctor, I checked my phone and was checking my emails. And I got an email. It took me aback, but it wasn't anything crazy. And I started feeling all of those feelings again. And so it was at that moment, it dawned on me that it was probably all a stress response. And that was what was causing my racing heart. And so I talked to the doctor about it, and after getting all my vitals checked, they all checked out great. But for sure, this was more of a stress response and cortisol explosion than it was anything else. Coincidentally, while I was checking my email the next day, I received an email from the podcaster Mel Robbins. I subscribed to her emails and her podcast, and she too was talking about how she was feeling more stressed than usual. She mentioned that her son was graduating from high school and things just seemed a little crazier than normal, and she couldn't get her head above water. I immediately felt relieved because she was saying exactly how I was feeling and how I felt. And I thought, if someone like her who has who's super successful and has all the means to all the things, that maybe this is just a human experience and response. And so she introduced her podcast and what she's going to be talking about regarding stress with Dr. Aditi Nerurkar, who just wrote the book, The 5 Resets, that I talked about earlier. And The 5 Resets is all about retraining your brain and your body for less stress and more resilience. And this doctor wrote the book because she experienced racing heart, panic, stress response as a result of med school and working 80 hours a week and not getting enough sleep, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So as a result, she embarked on her own journey to solve her own problem. And after implementing some of the most basic practices, her 5 resets, eventually, like within 3 months, her own palpitations completely diminished. So she then went back to med school and became a Harvard physician and specializes in stress and the body-mind connection. So of course I went out and bought the book, and here it is. I don't have the cover of it because I always throw my covers away, but upon reading it, I immediately agreed with everything she said and what she recommended, which they are not earth-shattering tips. However, These are tips that I've recommended to you over time, but it was now time for me to implement them in my life and get my cortisol and stress under control. So in conjunction with reading the 5 resets, I also began reading this book, The 5 a.m. Club. To say the least, it was life-changing and revolutionary for me. And in a nutshell, here's a summary that won't do it justice, but it's a self-help book that promotes waking up early to boost your productivity and creativity. And I knew that I needed to implement these strategies that both of these books recommended so I could get my cortisol under control. As a result, since mid-June, I have implemented many new habits that I'll more than likely share with you one day and have experienced 0 of those stress responses since then. But for the sake of today, one cortisol dumping and calming habit that I want to share with you is that I start every single day of my day at the exact same time, and I spend my first 20 minutes vigorously walking. So rather than jumping out of bed, cortisol, slamming a cup of coffee, cortisol, busting into my day, more cortisol, and letting my day own me, more cortisol, I start by drinking a cup of our cranberry juice, cranberry water, moving my body in the dark amongst the stars and the moon and in the quiet. This recommendation is from both the 5 a.m. Club and the 5 resets. The 5 a.m. Club recommends exercising the first 20 minutes of your day to help release some of that cortisol that we have in our body first thing in the morning. And it also gives us a micro win first thing in the morning. While the 5 resets recommends taking a 20-minute walk anytime during the day, as it's a perfect opportunity to help get out of your head and into your body. All the while I was implementing my new habits, I kept thinking about our beloved Ignite member and health coach, Tracy Reichel, and our Power of We podcast that we did back in March that was all about circadian rhythm. And there's no doubt that my circadian rhythm was way off. So thank you, Tracy Reichel, for planting those early circadian rhythm seeds. So all this being said, now that I really know about cortisol and how it's highest first thing in the morning, and then couple it with technology, kids, traffic, caffeine, etc., and how we can very simply manage it, I want to invite you to join me in waking up, not at 5 a.m., but just 20 minutes earlier every day to start your day in solitude without technology and with movement. It doesn't need to be extreme. I always just power walk, and sometimes if I feel like jogging, I jog. I just kind of listen to my body, but I try to get my heart rate up a little bit. But if I'm super sore or tired, I just do what I feel like is best for me. But personally, I use this time to talk and connect with God, to sort out my day, to feel the air and to smell the smells and to listen to what's around me. Sometimes that's coyotes, birds, owls, neighbors jogging and grunting, or my own breath. And so now my body craves it every single day. Waking up early is never easy for me, but my body and my mind and my spirit are so happy, and it has been a game changer for me, and I never want to stop. And so now that it's officially fall and it's going to be the absolute perfect time to be outside, it's not going to be too hot or too cold. It's the ideal time to start a really awesome habit like this. And again, you don't have to do it at 5 a.m., just 20 minutes earlier, starting your day and doing something really awesome for you. Just dedicating that first 20 minutes to you in solitude and quietude and peace. I promise you, it is going to change your whole day. Instead of the morning and the day owning you, you will own your morning and your day. Okay, finally, I want to leave you with a few inspiring quotes from the 5 a.m. Club, which are: winning starts at the beginning. Take excellent care of the front end of your day, and the rest of your day will pretty much take care of itself. Own your morning and elevate your day. Own your morning, and the quality of your day rises exponentially, which in turn upgrades the caliber of your life exceptionally. Beginning each day intelligently, healthily, and peacefully isn't only about optimizing your health and its success, it's about protecting it. And then finally, moving vigorously shortly after you get up will generate alchemy in your brain, while you not only wake up fully, but you will electrify your focus, your energy, and amplify your self-discipline and launch your day in a way that makes you feel on fire. And I can vouch and attest to all of that. I would not be promoting or recommending anything that I haven't already tried and completely agree with, because it has changed my health. And I'll share more about this because there's other things that I've done, but this one is pretty spectacular. To learn even more about cortisol, I recommend heading to our description below and checking out a blog post that we just wrote all about cortisol and all the different things that you can do to help manage and lower your cortisol levels. Thanks for watching. If you'd like more workouts, recipes, information, inspiration, empowerment, and encouragement to live your most fit, healthy, and beautiful life, hit the subscribe button or head below to sign up for our 2-week trial and become an Ignite member. I look so forward to igniting our lives together.